Debbie, we're at this Welcome Center here in Helen, Georgia, this tucked away gem in the mountains. Let's talk about the city. First, how did it get started?
Well, this will be our 40th Oktoberfest. Last year was our 40th anniversary of the renovation of the city into a Bavarian village. There were 3 local businessmen who were having coffee in a restaurant on the banks of the Chattahoochee, talking about what they could do to improve the looks of their town, because there were people who came through here to hunt and fish and take advantage of the nature that was in the area. So they decided they should do something to revive it because it was a dying logging town. They went to an artist that lives in the next county, John Colick, and asked him what would he do, and he remembered an experience that he had of being in town buying gas, and the mist rising off the mountains and the church bells ringing reminded him of time he spent in Bavaria in the military. So he took the existing 13 buildings downtown and did drawings of what they would look like if they added a gingerbread facade. Mm-hmm. They had a town meeting, and strangely enough, in a small town, everyone agreed at that meeting. And they went forward from there with no government funds, no subsidies, no backing, no anything. Each business paid for their own building to be redone.
Wow.
And we were fortunate we had a couple of carpenters, one of who was the son of the mayor at the time. And they had been to Germany, so they knew what the gingerbread work should look like. So they did patterns and started construction and redid those existing 13 stores. And from there, they actually drew and built up zoning and building codes, which was totally unheard of in the North Georgia Mountain 40 years ago. That just didn't happen.
Right.
Everybody did their own thing,
Sure.
and so we were fortunate, and that's how come all the new buildings have the red roofs and that kind of thing. It was all dictated from the very beginning.
I guess at that particular point, when a town is dying, you try to figure out what can we do about it? How can we get people here? What is going to be the mystique to attract people? And it was a wise move.
And that's what makes us different than the other towns. The other towns in the mountains are mountain towns, but we're a Bavarian village, and so that gives us a different little niche in the market when we're advertising and marketing for our village. And people like to come here, especially people who have spent time in Germany or traveled to Europe. And one of our slogans is to visit Germany without a passport. And so it's worked out very, very well for us.
And of course, you have this river that's running through town.
The Chattahoochee.
The Chattahoochee, and it's used extensively.
It is, not only for fishing, but also for tubing during the season. It's a great sport to come here and be taken by bus up to the north end of the river, or the north end of town, and then float back down through town. And you get to see all the sights and sound, and people sit on the restaurant balconies and watch the people in the river, and it's great fun for everybody.
The different facades of the buildings and the paintings that are on the outside walls, all done by artists.
Yes, different artists, actually. There were some way back in the beginning that have painted murals that are no longer here. We have one gentleman from Germany who did some of the shutter work that you see where it's raised plaster work and then they're painted out. He does still live here. So a number of people have been involved in that, and including John Colick, who was the artist who came up with the original drawings. There are some downtown that he also did.
And now you have so many different events throughout the year based upon season, I would assume.
This is true. We have some events that are patterned after German events like Oktoberfest, and we just had the Wurstfest recently. We also have Fasching, not on the scale that we used to have, but we do have Fasching, which is kind of the German version of Mardi Gras.
Right.
And then we have a Christkringle market at the holiday time, which is a German Christmas market. So we have other events that are growing from that German culture, but then we have other, the typical 4th of July events and
of course, during the summertime, a lot of events around the tubing and
Correct.
around water.
Car shows.
Yes.
And things like that come in from the outside that hold their events here, too, that are big.
Mm-hmm. Did the town evidently attracted artists, because you have the glass blower and you have some other ones here as well?
That's true. We've had a number of different artists that represent. There's a gentleman downtown who hand carves wooden bowls. We have a lot of pottery because this area of the mountains was known for pottery. So there's a lot of pottery potters in the vicinity, and then there's shops in town that sell local pottery work also.
I guess it wasn't too difficult getting businesses to change facades, because some have a definite style that they have in every single town in the United States where they are, but here they can't build it that way.
That's correct. Everything has to be approved and go through zoning and design and plan review and that kind of thing. So once you come into the community, you know that you're going to maintain that style.
We were fortunate to see the May dancers, and a lot of them were speaking in a dialect. I guess we do have some German citizens here?
We do. We were not a German settlement like some communities in the United States are, but we do have a number of business people who have located here that are from German backgrounds. And also Swiss and some of the other Scandinavian countries that have located here.
Very good. Debbie, if we want more information, and I know your website probably has got it all, including everything happening, what is that website address?
It's www.helenga.org, O-R-G.